Borderline Creep was one of those songs that didn't take long to write. It just kind of came together pretty straightforward. I think Sean was really just trying to get a specific idea across, and he just, you know, very bluntly like knocked it out. Like, you know, he's like, this is what I want to say. That's the song. There it goes. I really love that song.
Borderline Creep, again, identifies with like grappling with like who you are, which I think is really a theme throughout the album. You look back on like, what am I doing with my time? And you're like, wait, am I an asshole?
Borderline Creep, we initially recorded it for the DIY version of the record.
Is on the Epitaph version of Yvonne Dahl Killed the Locals, but not on the initial release. Before we duplicated the album, before we like had our final pressing or whatever, we played it for our parents. We're like, hey, check it out. We're done with our album that we've been working on forever. And they're like, cool, we want to hear it. We had really supportive parents, which was cool. They were always at every show. And once they realized that we were serious, they're like, you know, at this point, things hadn't taken off on that level yet. So we played it for them. They're like, okay. And then they called a meeting. Like, hey, after band practice, we're going to be at the Whalen's house. We want to talk to you guys. And we're like, okay. And so we like come out in the living room after we have band practice, and we're like, what's up, parents? Like, do they think we're like selling meth or something? What do they think we're doing? And they're like, okay, so we listened to the album. We think it's really good, but we're concerned about some of the language.
The chorus has the F word in it, and it's pretty featured.
We're like, what? We're a fucking punk band, Mom and Dad. Let us do what we want. And yeah, they were like, well, we were really excited about giving this to your relatives, and pretty much all the parents unanimously agree that if you put out the record with all the curse words on it, that you have to move out of our houses. We were just getting ready to go on our first tour, and we were like, well, we can't pay rent. We can't like get a band house with the negative money that we have, and we're about to lose money on our first tour probably. Like, fuck, you know? So we like deliberated, and we're like, well, fuck it, we should just move out, yeah. And then we're like, we honestly can't do it. Can't do it before this tour. Can't get our shit thrown out of it. We need to stay at our parents' houses. We pulled Borderline Creep off of it, and that was our compromise. I guess this is what we have to do. It felt like it was the most demoralizing thing a teenager could do. It's like, okay, like, extract the fuck. Like, here you go, Mom and Dad. Put out the record. Just really minimized that story. Didn't tell it to anyone because that is so not fucking cool. Then finally, when Epitaph wanted to sign us, we were like, got a record deal now. We're putting this song back on the record. And our parents were like, that's fine. Thank you for compromising.
It's pretty funny that, you know, we're this big punk rock band, and, you know, it's like, but, you know, Mom doesn't want the F word on the record, so I feel at least with like a record executive you can argue, but you can't really argue with your mom, so.
That's the first time I've told that story. At 30 years old, I'm like, I'm coming clean.